I've got some fun thrift store finds that we're going to be upcycling today. I've got this artwork, if you can call it that. I've got this little tin. I've got this wooden tote. I've got this little napkin holder. I've got a bun pan. And I have the silver tray. And I've got this basket and this spice rack that I already broke. And this cute little kettle. And it's like 120 degrees in my garage. So I need to get those swamp coolers back on. And let's get started. Hi, I'm Cheryl, and welcome to Lifestyle of a DIYer. And let's get right into these first two DIYs. I bought this, what I thought was a tote, but when I got it home, I found out it's not really a tote because see this little bar inside? I asked, what the heck was that? And they said it really goes like that. And you put your foot on the top of that, it helps you take off your shoes so you don't have to bend over as far. Something like that. Anyway, I had this top of a bar stool and I thought, you know what? It fits perfect. I'm going to make it a handle. And here's how I was able to make my handle. I want to thank the company Vevor for reaching out to me and asking me to try one of their power tools. I picked a jigsaw because if you wanted to learn how to use a power tool, a jigsaw is a great one to have. It's easy to use and you can do a lot of different things with the jigsaw. And a couple of the DIYs I'm going to do next are going to showcase the jigsaw and show you how much fun you can have with the jigsaw. This one comes with 2 blades, so when you take it out of the box, you just have to plug it in and you're ready to go. Now back to the video and how I cut out that handle. So I took a piece of paper, I traced the top of the bar stool, and then I flipped the paper over, I taped it down, and now you guessed it, I'm going to use the jigsaw and cut out the mirror image for my handle. And I was just going slow and I was tracing around the edge of the paper. And I'll admit I had to back up and get in there closer to the paper, but I'm still a beginner. It's okay. That's how we learn. And really, if you think of all the things you can cut with the jigsaw, you can cut straight lines, you can cut curves, so you could cut out Christmas trees, all these fun projects that now you can do. My workbench came from an estate sale and it already had this clamp thingy on it. And I don't know how I would have cut this out without that. So don't walk past that at an estate sale. My nephew already asked me to be on the lookout for one for him. Then I took my handle over to my belt sander to smooth out all the rough edges. It's so easy to use. And then I used my hand sander to get any spots I couldn't get with the belt sander. And I think you can get one of these belt sanders from Harbor Freight for less than $50. I used Durham's wood putty to fill these holes. You use equal parts of the powder to the water, but only make enough for the project you're working on because it does not keep. Then once it was dry, I sanded it down to make it all nice and smooth. And right here, I'm showing you how I got the edge of the handle flat so it fit flush to the tote, and I just used the belt sander. I painted the tote in YSL synthetic chalk paint in the color Botanical, and I did 1.5 coats. And once the paint was dry, I took it back out to my workbench to staple the handle to the tote. And every time I use the staple, you'll see me bend down and look just to make sure that the staple did not come out through the front of the wood. And it didn't. I was good, but I did goof up. I forgot to use wood glue first before I did the staples. Hopefully it's not that heavy and I won't have any problems. If it does come off, I'll just go back and do it right the next time. Next, I'm going to cut out some fall flowers to put in our new tote. The first thing I did was make a pattern. I just drew a simple flower and then I traced it onto the, I think this is actually MDF. And full disclosure, I'm a beginner myself. I've only used a jigsaw a few times, but it was super easy. Now, if I was a pro woodworker, I would have drawn my flower maybe closer to the edge. There's probably a better way to cut out this flower, but this is what made sense for me. So this is the way I did it. There is a discount code linked below. This really is a nice tool to have on hand. And right here I'm showing you that you can buy circles at Walmart, like a pack of them for $1.57, and they even look the right size. But I actually like that the center of my flowers are not perfectly round. They have more character, we'll call it that. And here's what my first flower looked like. I needed to sand the edges a little bit. I got the flowers all painted, and I know this red isn't a typical fall color, but I thrifted some plates, and I want these flowers to go with my plates. I wanted the flowers to have a nice finished look, so I painted all the backs. Then I drilled a hole in the flower for the stem to go in. And right here I'm showing you a picture from Walmart of all the different size dowels, because I think I should have gotten a smaller size, but we fixed it by using my belt sander and sanding down the end of the dowel so it would fit in the hole that I drilled. I used weld bond glue, and after I got everything glued together, I didn't feel like the dowels were going in deep enough to have a really good hold, so after the camera was off, I took a rubber mallet and I pounded the dowel in a little bit just to make it more secure. And here I'm gluing all the fronts of my flowers on. Now I'm thinking my flowers look super cute, but I'm going to use Wise Owl glaze in the color Java to give them a little more dimension. And sorry, these keep going out of focus. I have these zoomed in, and every time my head gets in the way, it focuses on my head and everything else goes blurry. To use the glaze, you just apply it where you want it, and then you take a damp cloth to wipe it back. And here's what my flowers look like in the basket. I also included the plates that I thrifted. I think they'll be so nice for fall. In the beginning of the video, I show a tin that I'm going to upcycle. This is the tin, and I originally had the flowers in this tin. I just painted it and used a little dark wax. Which way do you like better? Do you like it in the tin, or do you like it in the wooden tote? But let's hang on, because I'm building a vignette around these plates, so let's keep on going into DIY number 3 and 4. Next, I'm going to take this spice rack and I'm going to turn it into a display rack. The first thing I need to do is cut some holes on each side with a paddle blade, and I had no idea it was going to be this messy. I gave it a quick scuff sand, and then it needed a little repair work. I used wood glue in all the loose wood joints, and then I needed to glue the front piece back on. I used a clamp to hold it all in place until the glue dried. And when I was using the paddle blade, I learned that if you started the paddle blade on one side, but you didn't finish it, you went to the other side and went the opposite direction to finish the opening, to finish the hole, that the wood wouldn't splinter. But I didn't learn that until the fourth hole, because as I was going through on each hole, wherever I was coming out, the wood splintered a little bit. So this is where I'm using the Durham's wood putty to fill those areas. I let the putty dry and I sanded it, and then it was ready for paint. I used Wyzal 1 Hour Enamel in the color Antique Villa. It's my favorite non-white white. And if I use a white paint, this is my go-to. It's such a pretty color, but it's not a bright white. It's not an off-white. It's just the perfect in-between. I gave my new display rack 2 coats of Antique Villa, and then I just did some light distressing. Now this rack is pretty simple, but I want what I'm going to display to be the star of the show. And you know I love rolling pins, so I'm making this display for some rolling pins, and I'm going to do the rolling pins next. I like to use rolling pins in my seasonal decor, and having this rack will be perfect. I can swap out these rolling pins. Now I have quite a few rolling pins just waiting for the perfect DIY project. And for this one, I made sure that I pulled out 2 that were the same size, and they fit across my spice rack. And I did that before I even made the first hole in my spice rack, because you know, you get these ideas in your head and you hope it's going to work out. And this one actually did. So I got the rolling pins all clean and sanded. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you don't need to watch me paint another rolling pin. You probably don't even need to watch me decoupage another rolling pin. But if you're new, I will link the rolling pin video in the description box down below. But anyway, I'm going to use my favorite ruler for tearing decoupage paper, and this design I got off of Etsy and I printed onto some rice paper. I just used this poly acrylic sealer. It was handy, and I use that as my decoupage medium. If you only have Mod Podge works fine, but I would water it down. It makes it much easier to apply the decoupage paper when the medium you're using is not real thick. I use Saran Wrap to smooth out the paper. And a final coat of the sealer. And now I'm just going to sand off the excess paper to give it a nice smooth edge. And I got this idea using the sander from Holly from Lamb Living. You'll have to check out her YouTube channel. And I had one of these already. It was so easy to use. It's really just a nail file that I think this one came from Dollar Tree. And here's how the display turned out. Now this display was pretty easy. You'll have to let me know, would you make a display like this? Let's keep building the vignette and go right into DIY number 5, 6, and 7, because they're quick and easy. This is a simple DIY. I love this frame, didn't like the picture, but I thought this would be a perfect frame to use emptied so I could put like baskets inside or other pictures, plates. It was just a good background piece. And actually, I think it took me longer to remove all the staples than to paint this thing. Once I finally got out all the staples, I needed to sand the back because the paper had been glued down and I just wanted the back of the frame to look nice. I know no one would ever see it, but I just wanted it to be a nice completed project. I used Wise Owl synthetic chalk paint in the color Goldenrod. I love this color. I think it blends so nicely with so many other colors. It got 2 coats of paint. I let it dry, I sealed it, and then it was ready for the glaze. And I used Wise Owl glaze in the color Java. You just apply it where you want it to bring out all the details of the frame, and then you wipe it back with a damp cloth. If you don't have glaze, you can always use dark wax. It works the same way. The glaze or wax just takes a plain frame and gives it a whole new look, showing all that pretty detail. I'm going to show how everything turned out at the end, so we're going to go right into our next DIY. Next, I'm going to take this little kettle that was actually used. The bottom of it's burnt, so somebody used this. But anyway, I think it's so cute and it'll be perfect for my vignette, but I just want to add a little something to the front of this. And so I'm going to use water slide paper. I purchased this design off of Etsy and I printed it on the paper. And then I just followed the instructions. It was so easy. After printing out the design, you do need to seal it. And I just used polyacrylic sealer in matte finish. And you need to do that 3 times. I cut out my design and then I read the instructions where it said to leave a border of at least 1/8 of an inch, which I didn't do, but it still worked out. I would love to know, are you the type that reads all the instructions before you start on your project? Are you like me and just think you know what you're doing and find out later that you're wrong? Next, you just drop it into some room temperature water and you leave it for 3 minutes. Then you just place your design where you want it and the backing just slides out. And then you just readjust your design and that's it. Now, my design doesn't show up really well, but I'm okay with that. I just want it to be part of the vignette and just have all the elements look cohesive. I'm not sealing it because I don't want it to be permanent on here because I'll probably change it for another vignette someday. And on to our final DIY, this silver tray. And the first thing I did was I traced the inside of the tray onto the MDF. And you want to use something that you know you're going to be able to see. At first I used pencil and I couldn't see it. The lighting wasn't good enough, but this red I was good with. Now this tray is not going to really go with my vignette when it's all done, but I included it in this video because I'm using the jigsaw. And I just wanted to show you one more application you can use. Because you see these silver trays, well, they're not really silver. Well, this one isn't, all the time at thrift stores. And they're always missing the glass dish, so this is a good way to upcycle one of those trays. Even if the sky is falling down. This jigsaw has a laser light on it so that when you're cutting a straight line, you know because of the laser light, you know you're going straight. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing. And I might have had beginner's luck, but it fit the first time I tried, and it fit perfectly. I gave it 3 coats of red spray paint And here's how it turned out. This tray will be so pretty at Christmas time, and all the silver on the top is going to be in a future DIY.
Keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind. I will keep on holding.
And here's how all our other projects turned out.
Even if the sky is falling down.
I think these dishes and my new vignette will be a nice transition from summer to fall.
Sky is falling down.
I made too many items to fit in my staging area for pictures, but I have the perfect spot in my house. And this little napkin holder that I thrifted, it fit perfectly in with my vignette. I just took some 4-aught steel wool and I cleaned it up.
Sky is falling down.
The bundt pan and basket didn't make it into this video because it didn't fit in with my vignette, but it'll be in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.